I'd like to call this meeting of the Patricia A. Hannaford Regional Technical School District to order. It's Thursday, April 20th. Sorry, I'm starting a minute early. It's 4:59. Have a seat, my friends. And first, I'd like to start with introduction of board members, and we'll start to my right.
Jay or no?
Board members, and then we'll do it.
Not yet.
I'm not a board member.
I'm fine. I live in New Haven, and I'm the community at large member from Mount Abraham School District.
Steve Burney, representing MAUSD.
I'm Tricia Allen from ACSD.
I'm Christina Macklin from Addison Northwest School District.
Suzanne Buck, and I represent post-secondary ed and training.
Steve Orzak, ACSD.
Nick Paulson from Forum at large for ACSD.
And online we have Dan. Can you unmute and introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, Dan Rosignol from the Northwest Addison at large.
Bill?
William Biederman from Middlebury.
Is Tiffany on yet, Patrice?
No.
Okay.
Getting off
At-
one.
And then administrators in the room, we'll start with Jay.
Jay Stutzel, Assistant Director for the Career Center.
Tim Williams, Interim Superintendent Director.
Rebecca Goulet, Business Manager.
Patrice Alexander, Administrative Assistant.
And do we have any guests online other than, I think Linda is online?
Just Linda.
Just Linda? Anybody in the audience like to introduce themselves, or would you like to wait till skills?
Go ahead, Kyle.
Kyle Trudeau, Industrial Design and Fab Instructor.
LT Danforth, Human Services Instructor.
Jill Heisinger, Assistant Culinary Arts.
I'm Hunter. I was the bronze medalist for diesel equipment.
David Mills, Diesel Power Technology.
Jennifer Baker, and Medical Professions.
I'm Madison Medalist for HOSA.
Great, thank you all for coming. And I apologize for turning our backs to you. May I have a, oh,
Bill's raising his hand and Joe's
oh, Bill?
Yep.
Did you-
What's with the new format? I'm about to get car sick.
Oh, the owl!
Yeah,
It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm serious. You can't concentrate on anything.
I don't know if there's a way to freeze it or not.
ACSD hasn't frozen, but we'll work on that. It's tonight, you
All
know,
right.
new shoes here, you know, gotta get used to them. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I make that motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed. Public comment. We have divided our public comment into two sections. The first part is on any agenda item that is before the board tonight. And then at the end, you'll see that we have public comment again, and that is for anything else that anybody might like to chat about. I'm presuming you're not necessarily here for public comment? No? Okay. So, that being said, we're going to turn back around. And we have health occupations, and then followed by Skills USA competition results.
I have to keep turning.
Do you want to stay there, or do you want to kind of wander around? Or?
You're gonna stay right there.
So I'm Jennifer Baker. I already introduced myself from Medical Professions. So we recently competed with HOSA, and if you've never heard of HOSA before, I'm going to give you a little blurb what HOSA is. HOSA is an international student organization recognized by the United States Department of Education and the Health Science Education. HOSA's twofold mission is to promote career opportunities in the healthcare care industry and to enhance the delivery of quality health care to all people. The Charter State Association of Vermont, HOSA, is composed of and by 4 students who are enrolled in secondary or post-secondary collegiate health science classes and/or are interested in planning to pursue or pursuing a career in the health professions. It shall consist of local chapters affiliated within the state. Our class is affiliated with HOSA. It was started 2 years ago. They originally had a Vermont, New Hampshire delegation, and then they split off to just Vermont. So last year we competed with HOSA and had a medalist last year in silver for medical terminology and a bronze in medical photography and a bronze in CPR first aid. This year, moving forward, we continue to increase our enrollment with HOSA, and we decided to compete as a class and went on to state level, and they competed in medical terminology. Madison Cram received a gold, so went up another level. That's exciting. In HOSA, and it's a very stiff competition within the state, so very proud of her. And we also received a bronze in the first aid and CPR, and that was a team of 2. And also another bronze was in medical terminology. So we had several students place this year. Super proud of them. So medical professions also wanted to recognize Madison Cram in her gold, and we are planning on attending the international conference in Texas. Last year, she got the opportunity to go to Nashville, Tennessee, and competed there. So, with that being said, you want to tell a little bit? I know it's putting you on the spot.
So, the international conference was definitely very awesome. There were definitely additional things besides competing that made me be more of a risk taker. Like, there were workshops which actually helped me with applying to colleges and sort of finding the avenue where I want to go after high school. And I just thought the workshops that they had there were very informative. And it was a new experience, and I got to meet quite a few people as well from other states and other chapters within our state.
So it was a new adventure for her, and to be able to fly was a big
Yeah,
that was the first time flying. You did great. So we are currently looking for sponsorships to help aid the cost of going to Texas, so she can compete again this year and represent PHCC. Thank you for letting me talk a little bit about HOSA, and do you have any questions?
What did you take away from Texas?
No, that's.
They went to Nashville last year.
I guess really just to push myself, because especially last year we were able to have our books at the state level, so we were able to have a book for notes. And when we went to compete internationally, we weren't able to do that. And this year, we weren't able to do that at state level either. So it pushed me to try to actually memorize things more without a resource, so to use my brain.
It's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Standing there over patient, going, wait a minute.
So very proud of her that she achieved her goal, and
Congratulations.
Thank you.
yeah, congratulations.
And that's not an easy competition.
No,
No,
it's
it's
not.
not.
It's one of the hardest ones. It's very competitive. So.
Kids at CCD that struggle with medical terminology.
Yeah.
Sometimes they take it twice. 3 times. Who would like to go next?
You're looking at me, so you're all going to make me feel really short here.
Hey, Christian, on a chair, we'll let you.
Well, no, I might fall off. No, yeah, safety first. So, like I said, David Mills, Diesel Power Technology. I'll introduce these guys. I'll tell a little bit about, what we do with skills, and then I'll let each of them, say what they've gotten from it. So, bronze medalist, Hunter Collins. Silver, Spencer White. And my gold medalist, Walter Shandu. So, good job, guys.
David, what program? I mean, like a bronze, but in what?
Oh, Diesel.
All
Diesel.
just straight
It's
diesel.
Just straight diesel, it's all diesel,
Okay.
diesel technology, yes. So, yeah, we went up, well, all three of these went with Gretchen and I last year down to Massachusetts to the competition. Spencer got a gold there last year. He chose not to go to Atlanta and thinking that, you know, he would be able to win again this year, and, well, Walter. That's, you know, I guess there's a lesson to be learned for everybody, you know. If you do good, it's an opportunity, you need to take it, you know. Skills, probably similar to HOSA. It's a lot of technical stuff. It's a nationwide organization. It's a big deal. I think years ago we had a pretty active chapter here at Career Center, and I think it waned off, and then COVID just kind of ended it for us because we found some jackets and stuff that hopefully we can use. But anyway, so with the help of Jill and Ulti, Kyle, Nick, who isn't here, and myself, we're trying to rebuild it here for us because it's a great opportunity for these guys. You know, it'll look really good on their job applications and just the knowledge and just being able to get out of here and see what the world is, you know, is great. So I'll put Hunter on the spot first. Maybe you can tell a little bit about what our competition was and for either last year and or this year, and then you guys can add on.
Well, last year's was not as hard as this year. I don't know why that was, but going down to Massachusetts was pretty fun. This year was totally different. Really challenged me and the rest of us, I assume. There were some things I just had to really think about. But all the guys there that were doing the stations, they were all really helpful afterward. They were nice to talk to.
Yeah, definitely. To add on to what Hunter was saying, a lot of the guys there were also there for recruitment of their workplace. So handing out business cards, shaking hands, all that. So getting to network like that was also a great experience.
Yeah, it was definitely a cool experience, and there was a lot of connections made with a lot of businesses.
Anybody have any questions?
What does that competition actually look like? I'm assuming it's not pen and paper, although maybe parts are.
Some of it.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
some of it. So they had, was it 12 or 13 stations?
I think 14 this year.
Stations.
Yeah.
With a bunch of different things. So electrical, diagnostics with a computer, job interview, and a bunch more. And you had 15 minutes at each station to go through and try to complete it to the best of your abilities. And yeah, I don't know, that's kind of most of it. So yeah.
Yeah, there was pre-term inspection on a truck. There was a Claus chopper there. They had to do a diagnosis on what was wrong with that. There was a rear differential, partial, bearing change on that. Transmission, I'm not sure what they had you doing with the transmission. Identifying parts. Yeah, there was a parts identification. Tool identification. Hydraulics.
Parts. Yeah.
Parts. What else? Electrical, electronics. They made this humongous board with all these lights on it, and all it was the ground wire had a short in it, but I don't know if anybody got that one right. It was all bells and whistles with a very simple, common thing. But anyway, trying to think. Air brakes. Everything on air brakes. So, what else was there?
There's a bunch more. Job interview, pre-trip.
AC.
Yeah.
Air conditioning, yeah. So, it's, precision measurement, yeah. Last year you had bolt identification.
Yeah.
Remember that one? So, yeah. So it covers,
Wide spectrum.
and if you look at, skills diesel, what they could be, it's a list about this long. There's a lot of things that it could be, so. We'll be hopefully prepping for nationals on some of that list. So, yeah.
Where are nationals going to be?
Georgia, Atlanta.
Okay.
Again, same.
So we're trying to raise money to go.
Yeah.
How much does it cost to send a student?
Well, we figured it up the other night. It's going to cost us about
Approximately $1,500.
$1,500 a student, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, so we
Is
figure between $9,000 and $10,000 we're going to have to find to send an advisor and a student.
Oh,
So
okay.
we got about 2 weeks to do it. So we're going to be, well, 3 weeks. So we're going to be busy.
Is it cheaper to drive than fly?
We may have to drive. Yeah.
Are you guys doing GoFundMe, or like, can you send us information on?
So we actually started drafting a letter as an organization. I put a bulk of it out there, sent it to Nick and David, and since then it's gone to Jay and Tim and Patrice, and it's gone here, there, and everywhere to make sure that it is a very professional letter seeking support. I met with a representative from the Lions Club to get their timeline on their meeting schedules. I met with the commander from the Legion last night, and I've been invited to dinner. There's / meeting on Monday night to present the information to the Legion as well. The nice part with the Legion, he goes, well, Career Center, maybe we can get Bristol and Virgins involved as well, because they serve all of us. So hopefully we get a broad spectrum of community support, and looking forward, we know that we should do more as instructors ourselves and fundraising here within the facility to support ourselves rather than relying on our community to support us. I know they're always behind us, but we can do more ourselves to prepare for this.
And we're I don't think we expected to have 3 gold medalists. So you might say we're kind of caught with our pants down, so yeah. So,
the community would want to
Wait,
support that.
well, no, and that GoFundMe,
Yeah.
do you know anything about?
I could figure it out.
I think, I think that's a great idea.
And
Okay, that's, I think it's something we need to talk, well, if you could, yeah.
Jill, I might need your help on that.
Yeah. Well, if you leave it up to me, I'm gonna need help, so, yeah.
Okay, I was like, I have fine.
So that's a purchase order. So for Costa, it's about the same. It's about $1,400 by the time you figure out flights, accommodations, registration.
Yeah.
So yeah. And we've reached out. Ours is a little bit different, being the medical world.
Yeah.
So reaching out and working.
They're working hard to get the fund.
Yeah.
And one of the things for these guys, there's an official dress. It's like being basically on a cruise. You go to the captain's ball, you've got to have, so we've got to get jackets and ties. They'll have to provide, their own pants and shirts, but it's very specific what you have to wear, and you lose points for not doing that. So, it's a big deal.
We want pictures.
You want pictures? Yeah, right.
So, and I know that we're on a pretty strict timeline, but just quickly, because you've mentioned other instructors in the building, would anybody else like to say what other contests there are in Skills USA that the Career Center could be looking at going to next year?
So there's a whole gamut in the leadership category that Jill pointed out accommodates kids with learning disabilities as well. So there's open job demonstration, and then there's job demo, very specifically job interview.
Public speaking.
And there's all sorts
lots of leadership category
which
activities that maybe students, all kinds of students could participate.
Right, you can get you can spread the gamut a lot more and push kids outside of what they feel is comfort zone. And I brought students up to the Related Tech Math and the opening ceremonies on April 5th. And the opening ceremonies, it's a sea of red. And all the red jackets, and it very exciting, a lot of stuff going on at BTC. Kids were all over the campus competing in a lot of different competitions. I had 2 students that did the Related Tech Math. They took gold and bronze.
Nice.
So I have a sophomore actually that's qualified to go to nationals, and she was standing there on the podium, and the silver medalist is like, if you don't go, let me know so I can go. But like they said, they went to Massachusetts last year. I went to Derry, New Hampshire this year for the Vermont AMT competition, which is Advanced Manufacturing technology. So I was supposed to have a team of 3, one student couldn't make it. I brought down a team of 2 against 3 other teams from the state of Vermont. My team of 2 did very well with the machine. They had no idea about other than what their third party informed them about, because we only had limited time to get down to Stafford, where the closest one is. So we spent about an hour and a half at Stafford one day learning about the machine, and then he couldn't make it, so the other 2 were kind of flying by the seat of their pants. And it was good. They did very well at the competition as far as the CAD, the CAM. So they designed the part, they moved it into another environment, uploaded all the tooling they use in the machine, created all the tool paths to cut the part, and then had to get it in the mill, which, like I said, is brand new to them. And they did it, and they got to where they were actually making chips. And I think where I see where I need to improve out of it, so that's good. You know, it helps me guide where I'm going to go. The opportunity for these guys is phenomenal. Like they said, recruitment, but there's the part they're leaving out is there's scholarships attached to a lot of these awards. So all these tech schools, there's scholarships attached. There's another gold medalist. So,
More money.
We were just down in the shop working. That CNC router's going, we're like, oh, we thought it was like 3:30 now. But this is Declan Anderson. He's a senior at Middlebury Union High School, and he's in Construction Tech 2. He was with me in Construction Tech 1 last year. I'm Nick Cantrick, the Construction Tech instructor. I know most of you, but yeah. And yeah, we this was our first foray into skills. First time that I really learned about the organization, and first time we went down, and Declan offered to kind of compete along with another student, Lucas Allen, who's in Construction Tech 2, and we were kind of pulling it together last minute. How do we prepare for this? What are we doing? But
I feel like it went pretty well. We weren't super prepared. We hadn't been training for it like a bunch of other schools. All the other schools that were competing, they'd been doing it for years, and they had pretty much won all the other years. There was one school that just kept winning over and over, so glad to break that streak. But I went into it just excited to see what it was like, kind of be the guinea pig for the program, because we'd never done it before. Yeah. What else would you like me to touch on?
I don't know.
What was your
What's
aspect of the
your
competition?
competition?
So I was in carpentry, and we were given a set of plans and a certain amount of materials. We had to bring our own tools, but they gave us a set of plans and said build it, and gave us 3 or 4 hours to do it. And only a few people actually completed it, but it wasn't based on completion. It was based on quality and attention to detail, and really it was a big emphasis on safety as well. So they judged us on all of that. I think I was one of 3 other students who actually completed the build. So there was that aspect of it, and then there was a written test with 40-something questions, and then we had a stair tread, sort of math-based section as well, and those all added up to a final score, and that's what decided podium.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Really proud of Declan. I mean, you can see his work on the tiny house and how he's influenced the program, and you're a shining star. Really glad that this competition exists so that, it can showcase your talents. Yeah.
Make sure it's on your resume.
Absolutely.
Don't do this and then say, oh, well, it doesn't really belong on my resume.
But I don't think he's in enough trouble with it.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure he's not, but that's a shining moment. You need to make sure it's there.
No, that went right on there.
Was there the same kind of industry participation in that as there was in the diesel?
Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah. We had the Association of General Contractors of Vermont was kind of our sponsor. They were the judges. We also had a professor from Vermont Tech who was one of the judges, and a student in the construction management program at VTC was a judge too. And she she was a freshman and she had competed in skills when she went to Northwest Tech. So it was really, really neat to see that. And Declan, really your future plans, you can talk about that.
I'm going to Vermont Tech for construction management, so it was a good overlap there for sure. I was able to reconnect with that professor. I'd met him once or twice before, but it was a good opportunity for him to kind of see me in action, I suppose.
And I brought our two other senior students in construction tech too, so all 4 of us were there. 2 competitors, we were limited to 2 competitors from each school. So Lucas and Declan competed, and Jerry and Katie were able to just be there and visit and watch and observe. And we made a connection with Martin Pigeon, who's part of PC Construction. And Jerry, the senior at Middlebury, is looking for industry connections and jobs, so we made a connection there. He got Martin's card, and we set up job shadows for starting in May with Jerry. So it was, fruitful experience all around.
And Elsie had a host as well.
Yes, so first off, thank you for allowing us to come and share. So my student was Carson Jennings, a Mount Abraham Union High School student. My first time, her first time competing. She was competing in the early childhood competition, so that entailed 4 components. One being a written assessment, the next being a lesson plan. She needed to pick out of the hat curriculum-wise, and she chose science. And she had to design a lesson plan and then implement it in front of her judges as though she was presenting to children. She also had to choose a piece of children's literature and share that similarly. And finally, she had an interview. So to give you kind of a sense of some of the skills that she needed to bring, I think I would share with you the real lens that she is trying to do this through is through developmentally appropriate practice. So if you're not familiar with NACCE's DAP, there are 3 core considerations that'll give you a good sense of what it is. So we first want to consider commonality. So what do we know about how kids develop and grow? What are milestones? What does research tell us about certain skills and activities that would be appropriate at certain times? So for Carson, she really needed to be knowledgeable of the Vermont Early Learning Standards, and not knowing the curriculum areas, she had to kind of familiarize herself with what would be appropriate for 3 to 5-year-olds, because this was a preschool-based lesson. So she did something on living and non-living things. And so she pulled that from the Vermont Early Learning Standards, but in her brain. The second component of DAP is individuality. So you always want to be considering who is each child, apart from what are the norms, what's appropriate for each individual. So she had to somehow creatively insert that she was thinking about either a child's temperament style or maybe their activity level. Maybe a child has a squishy ball while listening to a story, because that's a way they can work on self-regulation skills on their own. Final component is social and cultural context. So, what is this child's home life like? What's their culture like outside of the school day? And how do we embed that in our approach? So, in a nutshell, that's kind of what she brought to the competition. She was a silver medalist, which was great. As a junior, I was really pleased. She felt good about what she did, which, probably above all else is worth its weight in gold. And she also found the experience to be really wonderful in that all of the students were, there was a sense of community that was built in that day. So she walked away feeling like she had made some connections that were valuable, and I suspect you might have done the same, and that's what happened.
And Jill had a medalist as well.
Excuse me.
Yeah, in culinary arts, Jordan Hall is a senior from Mount Abe. She got bronze in the culinary arts competition, and so that entailed a 3-course plated meal on time, hot food, hot plate, judged by local chefs and restaurant owners. at Killington Resort. So it was really cool to be in a hotel-style kitchen, and kind of we kicked out the staff there and kind of took over their whole commercial kitchen, which was really, really cool opportunity. And Jordan had a great time. They definitely met other students and created friendships with them, which I think is really valuable as well. When I did Skills USA, when I was here, I ended up going to CIA with a few people that I went to Skills with. So it's like those connections last a lifetime. I'm still friends with some of them too.
Great.
Yeah, but I think a growing year as far as Skills USA for us as a school, a lot of new competitors, and we just hope to grow it and create kind of a whole community around it.
It's important to note that the instructors are really, this grew organically from them. And with, obviously, the support of the administration, but they're the ones responsible for this effort. And they've really done a great job, and I expect even greater things going forward. So hats off to them, hats off to the students. Fabulous all the way around.
Thank you.
You don't have to stay through the meeting.
Looking directly
I would run. I didn't stay
Thank you. Bye, guys.
So since we approved the agenda, I did not hear anybody say that they needed to have the minutes pulled, so I'm presuming we're all set with minutes.
On the committees, I know that I wasn't there when the committee assignments were made, but it gets shifted around, because it says in the minutes that I'm on facilities and not on budget and policy.
I think we switched that after the meeting, okay?
Okay, I just wanted to check.
Yeah. Nick, do you want to do the tables?
Yes, but this is new territory because I didn't sign them.
Oh.
Somebody subbed. So I hope I can recognize the number. Energy project, there were two payments. One for $438,648,000, and the second one for $430,307. There were two because I don't think we paid anything in February. General fund, $167,308. Adult education, $603. Birth, $325. Enterprise revolving fund, $21,686. Student activities, $5,386. And payroll, $155,532. That's it.
Great. Bill, thank you for coming in and tag teaming with me on the bills.
Congratulations, Bill.
Yes, in the office they were laughing because Bill was doing bills. Moving into action agenda, we have temporarily suspend board policy BCE, the board committees. I don't know if anybody had a chance to read it.
I'm assuming it's because we have some of those committees. There are committees that we have that aren't on that list, and there are committees on that list that we don't have.
And this is correct.
So
Our practice does not match,
Yes.
historically, our practice does not match the policy.
I'll make a motion to temporarily suspend the board policy.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Also,
So it's been moved by Steve Rooney to suspend BCE, which is under school board governance, and it's the board committees, and it's been seconded by Kim. Is there any discussion on the motion?
is it our intention to change that? I mean, to temporarily suspend it, are we going to change it and then adopt the policy, or? When we say temporarily suspend it, is it Definitely suspended?
Well, it'll be temporarily suspended until the change of all the policies happens in June or July. At that point, it'll be a moot point.
Right.
Because we'll retire all prior policies.
I understand.
Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, and create a new policy.
Yes.
Attach it to
Or,
another policy.
it depends on what the VSBA recommendation, I said PSBA, VSBA recommendations are. I don't believe there's a recommended policy for that.
Yeah, I looked at specifically how it aligned with what we have in our district, and this part's added on to a board operation policy.
Yeah. We'll have more discussion about that at the board policy update time.
Right.
Do each of these agenda items, do each of these committees have a charge?
So if you read these committees,
It's like
they do have a charge.
it's like a little brief one sentence thing, right?
Yes, yeah. And so like we broke out budget and policy into two separate ones, but here it's one with one charge that covers everything. So when we bring it back with the newer policies, budget and policy would be broken out separately. Facilities would probably still be there, negotiations would still be there, but negotiations is not an every year assignment.
Yeah, I guess we'll add community engagement too, or?
That's
Or
ad hoc. So ad hoc are established as necessary, and then when they're established, then they're normally given specific tasks to do. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Online, Judd, Bill, Dan, anybody got any questions? Or Judd's got a thumbs up. Is there any more discussion on the motion?
No questions here. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of temporarily suspending board policy BCE, the board committees? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed. I think that was unanimous. Next on our agenda is to approve a daily compensation for Dr. McTavish for the June transition. She will be here in June, and we're hoping that we can kind of tag team her visit when the teachers are doing some of their final PD at the end of the year, so that she can help them start planning for the next year, but it's not under her contract. So we would like to, I think we talked about up to 5 days for around $225 a day, and but that would require a board action. And so
I'd like to move
Move that we, somebody else doing it?
no, go Janet.
So I would move that we offer Dr. McTavish $225 a day for up to 5 days in June.
I'll second that.
It's been moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve paying Dr. McTavish for up to 5 days in June at the rate of $225 a day. Is there any discussion on that motion? Steve, you're looking puzzled. Oh, she's online.
Oh.
Good question. I'm assuming it's in the budget, or there's money in the budget to do
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Nick, did you have a question, comment?
Well, I'm not sure I should. The 225 that's based on the global salary, or?
No, it's not based on her per diem salary as of July 1, because she's not in a leadership role in June.
Okay.
It's her kit and caboodle come July 1. So I'm responsible till then.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a stipend.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why it's a little lower than.
Yes. Right. Yes.
I mean, I'm surprised how low it is. But that.
Well, she's not.
Don't say that.
She's not delivering. She's receiving.
Listening.
So it's a different level of engagement.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Online, are there any
Transition pay, right? Basically.
Yeah.
Basically.
Judd or Dan, anybody have any questions?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. If there's no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the daily compensation for Dr. McTavish for June for up to 5 days at $225 a day, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed. We should have had Jill stay.
Right. I was thinking about that.
So the culinary committee met, I guess you'd call them a culinary committee.
Hiring committee.
Met, and
We had two candidates.
I'll let you talk.
And put them through their paces, and administration's recommending Jill to be hired for that position.
Kim?
Jill's a Mount graduate and was my neighbor, which is very well. Anyway, and went through this program, and just fantastic addition to the community. Tremendous amount of experience all over the place. But I think to grow that particular program should be a very good fit.
Would you like to make a motion?
Oh, why not? Make a motion to hire Jillian Heisinger as the culinary arts instructor effective 2023-24 school year.
Second.
It's been, good afternoon or evening, Tiffany. It's been moved and seconded to approve hiring Jillian. How do you say it? Heisinger. I knew I was going to say it wrong. As a culinary instructor effective the 23-24 school year. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I have a question. Were there students on the hiring?
Yes.
There were. Great.
Yep, there was a student. And when it came time to deliberate, we gathered his opinion. When it came time to deliberate, we did dismiss him because we didn't want to put him in a situation as being the final decision maker in case his assistant instructor didn't get the job.
Okay. That's
so we're
a good
trying
idea.
to be very mindful of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now I'm assuming we're looking for an assistant now.
Don't ever assume.
Don't assume. Okay.
Don't ever assume.
Okay.
A lot depends on numbers.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, I saw the numbers were kind of a little lower, right?
But they could go up.
Yep. Great. Any other discussion on the motion?
Who was the other candidate?
We're not going to talk about names of the other people,
No,
but it was
but
a person
from
with
the
experience.
industry?
Yeah, person with some experience in education.
And it, okay.
Not in CTE per se, but in education.
Okay.
If there's no further discussion on the motion, we'll proceed to vote on the hire of Jillian Heisinger as culinary instructor effective 2023-24 school year. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed. So I'm going to turn this one, the financial software, over to the financial person.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne.
Luckily, we have one.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to be here, so thank you. We've had a couple of conversations since I've been here about our current financial software system and how it's fairly antiquated and the software support is going away. It's not being updated anymore or not being enhanced, so we're kind of at a standstill. We also can't be totally compliant with the AOE's chart of accounts based on the current system that we have. So we'd like to be compliant. And
I don't think it's a like, I think it's we have to.
Exactly, yes. So I've been I'm talking with Tyler Technologies, who provides a lot of software in the state of Vermont for schools. And I have been on their previous product that I'm recommending, which is iVisions or ERP, which is called now. I did make a conversion to that and use that software for 11 years, so I feel pretty strongly that it's a decent software and it will be very helpful for us. One of the things I think we'll find doing that is that things will be much more automated. There won't be papers missing in the office. We can set up workflows to do approvals all online. And it will kind of just make it a little easier for not only the business office, but the staff as well to put in their leave and do requisitions and things like that nature. And it will enhance it. So with talking with Tyler, we don't have to buy the software. We're going to evergreen over, which means we already purchased software from them. They're going to move us over to this new software because they're getting rid of the current software, and we just have to pay for training and implementation and project management, and that's all on an hourly based fee. So there are 2 proposals that they gave us. One is we have to buy one piece of software, which is the suite, which will allow us to have the employee portal and just be able to have multiple users use it. So that's a small piece of it with the training. And then the second piece would just be the implementation and conversion. And they have quoted us for that piece around $35,000 for up to 400 hours of training and implementation. I do feel like they went high on that, especially because we are a small district and I have the experience with the software, so I'm confident that we can do it well under that. They're really busy right now, moving people over to their new softwares, mostly because of the e-finance debacle in the state of Vermont. So we have a spot available for us if we are authorized to go forward to start with this July 1st, 2024. And we would spend the next year just converting over and modernizing our system and changing our chart of accounts. It's not a budgeted item, so that's always something we have to talk about. And I think Tim and I have had a lot of conversation about it, and we've shared that the AOE has shorted us some money in the last year and this year as well. And we'll be getting that at the end of the month. And that would be a perfect use to help us get off the ground with this new software, because otherwise it would go into the reserve fund, and then we could ask to use it from the reserve fund. But with this financial windfall, so to speak, we could get started and not have to impact the fiscal year 24 budget very much.
Maybe not at all.
Maybe not at all, exactly.
Because we're looking anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 that we've been shorted over the last 2 years. And this will more than cover that.
I was trying to pay attention to the timeline. So we're paying for that now, but we're not going to get the software for a year?
So we have the software, and we're going to start getting the software.
Okay.
So we're going to need to buy this module so that we can upgrade and start receiving the new software. And their timeline is 10 months to bring someone all around. So we will be working on it throughout the next year, and they will bill us accordingly as we do it. But it's a 10-month implementation, so we will start it right away. We just won't be able to go live until July 1st, 2024, or 2024.
Okay. So what do you mean by go live?
We won't. So next year, in fiscal year 24,
yeah,
we're going to run on the current system that we are.
Okay.
Because we don't have the time and they don't have the resources to get us up and running. But starting as soon as the end of May, beginning of June, depending on the board's wishes and acceptance of this, we could start the implementation. So we would get the new suite. We would start to train the office staff. We would start working on moving over vendors. We would start moving on, I'll have to build a new chart of accounts to be compliant. So there's a lot of things to do in the meantime before we can go live, but they'll be supporting us along the way, and that's what the cost is.
Yeah, even if they had the time to do us for this July 1, I wouldn't go there.
Yeah.
It's too soon.
Yeah, no, I was just, I was going, we're paying them now and we can't implement for a year.
Oh,
and
we'll be.
What you said makes more sense if we won't be able to go live for a year.
We'll be working on it. We just won't pull that trigger.
Got it.
You kind of have to run both systems in tandem until your new one is totally functional.
Yeah, well, probably what'll happen is we will start running payroll dually like next April, just to test it out and things like that. But it'll be a lot of setup, and you want to take your time when you do the setup because you only get to do it once and you want to do it right. So take our time and come out with something that's a lot more efficient for the whole organization. And I think I've shared too that some of our sending schools use the current system and they're very happy with it. I think.
In fact, all of them except one.
Well, Yeah, they may move someday, who knows? Right?
Oh, I have a question, yeah. So, just for my brain, you had said that you thought it was around 35,000, but then you said, but we have to purchase
There's
software. So is the software outside of the 35?
There's two proposals in there. One is for the piece of software, which is around $7,500, and then the implementation of that for up to $17,000 for that.
Okay.
Which is a different piece of it. And the other one is all services just for training and implementation.
Okay. I will offer a word of caution on the windfall from the state. ACSD had that happen, and then the state found out that they had figured wrong yet again, and then they had to take the money back. So that really caused the problem in the budget. So be careful of supposed windfalls.
Yeah, we have to go with what they're telling us, right? And
Yeah.
if it changes, I'll certainly come to you and
If it changes,
ask to use the
we'll
reserve.
be looking at reserves.
Yeah.
I think this is
One way or the other, we have the money.
good investment regardless of
Yeah.
the state.
Yeah, I'm really excited about bringing this type of automation to the center. I'm finding the teachers are really, they're craving that type of stuff. Like, oh, we have to fill out this form and bring it down to you and get it signed and bring it to this person. And with this workflow system, I mean, you can set it up, you know, for the appropriate approvers. You can assign different accounts to certain people in the building. There's a lot of ways to put controls in there, but it does make things a lot more automated, and you're not tied to paper sitting at your desk.
Nick?
Thank you for putting this together, Rebecca. It's very complete. So I just have one question on the third paragraph that says, we will not have to pay for the current modules, only implementation and training. We would have to purchase a new suite of services and have the ability to purchase additional modules in the future to enhance the product.
So I put that in there because they have a lot of modules. However, because we're small, I don't feel at this time they are needed at this time. As things change and we want to enhance the system, or our work changes, or we get bigger, there are other modules that we could look at purchasing in the future to add on to. The only thing we need to purchase
So there's nothing immediate?
Nothing immediate, just the one piece
Just
of
the one, yeah.
right. I mean, they do have things like you can get a whole time clock system and a sub-calling system. We don't need that at this level, right? But who knows what the future holds and what other modules they may have down the road.
Okay.
Just more, I wanted you to know that they're not stagnant and we can grow with them if we need to.
So there's nothing we need to be putting in the budget 2 or 3 years down the road?
Not unless we decide that we want to do something fancy.
Okay. And just for information, the Finance Committee did agree that this was a good way to go.
So that being said then, Nick, I'm going to put you on the spot. Motion, please.
Yes, I move to proceed with the upgrade of the software ABS Profound by Tyler Technologies for the amounts outlined in Rebecca's memorandum.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to move ahead with the purchase of the software with budgetary amounts as outlined
In the was 17,000 and then 36,000 for the service.
So 17,000 and 36,000, and it's been seconded. Is there any further discussion? Online, anybody? No, Jeff's shaking his head. Don't shake your head, Jeff.
Good presentation. Yes, very good.
All right, so there's no discussion. We'll proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye, or raise your Zoom hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed.
Thank you. I'm really excited to bring that here. I think it's going to be really good for us.
We'll expect a full presentation when you're ready to hit the switch.
I will
Go.
keep you abreast as we move along and let you know how we're doing, but the budgeting module is really great, and I'm really looking forward to using it again.
You better watch out, Nick might get in there with you.
Only if I give him a portal.
You can review payroll from your bed.
No, I don't want
have
that.
to go
Thank
into
you.
the office.
So the next is to set the 2023-2024 adult ed tuition. It's proposed at $2,018 per semester for a total of $4,036 per year. Didn't we already do this at one point?
I don't believe so, not while I've been here.
I don't think for the adult ed, I think we did
Oh, we did the other tuition, okay.
Yes, we did
Adult
the
ed.
other two.
And this may not have been done in past years, and it's supposed to be done every year.
No, I think it was done.
Was it?
We've done it before, but I thought we normally did it earlier. Would someone like to make a motion to set that?
So moved, Judd.
Thank you, Jed. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to set the 2023-24 adult ed tuition at $2,018 per semester and $4,036 per year. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Just curious what the delta is from last year.
Honestly, I don't remember. It was in a weekly update at one point, wasn't it?
And what would set an increase here? Because it's not really it's not, I'm used to increases being figured a certain way for.
Well, this is all hinged on our actual tuition rate for students. And it can't be above 35% of that tuition, I think. So we're somewhere near that.
So that's a restriction on adult ed, is that it can't be more than 35% of your standard student tuition?
I believe
Okay, I didn't know
35% is the, yeah. I think I might have that spelled out in the link here, perhaps. I can't remember if I put that in there or not. Oh, it can't be more than 40% of the announced tuition.
Okay, so that's how you keep up with costs.
Yes, correct.
Whatever escalation you've built into your normal tuition rate, you're going to see in the adult rate.
Right.
Okay.
Jay is searching frantically.
I'm not sure we're escalating many things.
Yeah, I was trying to.
Well, I mean, normally the budget normally considers
Jay, do you have
a
it,
5% increase.
No, not a previous one. I thought Len, because Len was one who helped us figuring that, and it's none of the document that he had sent to us.
So it's been moved and seconded to set it. Is there any further discussion?
I assume, because as I remember, our per pupil rate went up significantly to cover bond, and I'm assuming, since we don't have the previous one, that this reflects that.
Yeah.
Any other questions online?
We don't happen to have a comparison with any other districts on this that we're doing.
I do not. I don't know what the other centers are setting theirs at. I'm sure it's lower because
You know, the bond cost to throw on top of
they,
it.
yeah,
And then per pupil figures are lower.
yeah.
Yeah, because it says we have the highest rate in the state, so it's going to be.
I guess I should have read the whole graph. It's more than I missed reading.
I think it's probably could be the highest possible.
We're no doubt we're going to be highest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other discussion, comments, questions? Seeing no hands raised, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed. We have first read of,
No, wait, that's
No, calendar.
Calendars.
oops, sorry. Approve the calendar for the 24-25 school year. Is that?
Yeah, this is not something that I understand has been done in the past. I'm not sure the sending schools do this either.
We do.
Do you?
We do.
Okay.
We just did it at our
I've never
last
done it.
board meeting.
Really?
I mean, to me, it's a completely
Just
foreign
did it.
concept not to have a board approve a calendar.
No.
So, and the reason I put it on here, I'm not quite certain if we have to have the board vote on it or not, but what we would have to do is we would have to have the board remove an instructional day if we so desired.
So it makes sense to me that if the board has to do that, the board should have to also approve the calendar from which they would be approving the deletion of a day. So to me, it just made logical sense. We don't have a lot of flexibility in the calendar because we have 3 partner schools and this calendar matches theirs. So if you decide not to approve this calendar, that's going to throw things in disarray. So I highly, strongly recommend you do not reject it. But we're seeking your approval on this.
I know ACSD used to approve their calendars, but I can't remember if we've done that recently.
I seem to remember that we did.
Last year?
Yeah, because I remember Peter presenting it and then us asking if, because there was a question about the half days and the in-service.
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole discussion around that.
Yeah.
So this is for a year from the next school year.
The coming
Not the
school year.
coming
This is the.
But if it's for the
Coming school year.
coming school year, then it should be 2023 through 2024.
I put the wrong numbers in there.
Okay.
Jeez.
On the actual calendar itself.
It says 23, 24.
Right,
Yeah.
in our agenda it says
Yeah.
24,
Yeah, the agenda, I had the wrong numbers, the wrong dates
okay.
on
I
the
noticed
agenda.
that. Good catch.
Sorry about
Well, I
that.
was
My apologies.
like, wow, we're really
Yeah.
thinking ahead.
We actually used to approve them that far ahead
Really? Wow.
at one time.
And this has been synced up with the teachers' contracts?
The teachers' contracts aren't
They have a-
germane to.
Well, they have a number of days. They have a number of days.
Yeah.
Required number of teacher days match.
Yeah.
And a number, does the contract discuss PD days and half days? And
Not half days. So,
I'm just wondering if that's why we don't see it at 9A, because they don't want to conflict with the,
I don't know.
like it's already set in the teacher negotiation to some extent? Number of student days, number of faculty days.
Yeah, but when they happen is, I think, the board's purview.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
it's
the
also for
administrative
students
team.
and families, it's not just.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know why
Yeah.
it's put out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So,
I'll make a motion to accept the, approve, sorry, and add language there, to approve the calendar for 2023-2024 school year.
is there a second for that?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the calendar for the 2023-2024 school year. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none and no raised hands, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed.
Are you okay to handle this one?
Yeah, if you want me to, yeah.
All right, so we're gonna roll this over to Steve. You're gonna go.
Okay,
Carry the way.
the policy committee,
We hope she's doing well.
the policy committee in our first official meeting, I don't know if you've heard that we're going to do a major revision of the policies, and that it's going to kind of wholesale put in a whole bunch of new and recommended policies, and basically say that all of the other policies that are in there are obsolete. So we're going to do this as a bulk lift in June.
Or it might be July.
Well, it might
We
be
want to do it in
July.
June.
We want to do it in June. And so to that end, there's a lot of policies that need to get done, and rather than try to do them all at once, we are splitting them up. These are the first 2 sets, the ones dealing with operations and personnel. The policy committee has read through all of those. Many of them are required by VSBA. Some of them are recommended simply because when Tim looked at them, he was saying, it seems like it should be required to me, but VSB is only saying it's recommended. So we can go over these individually if you'd like. This is only going to be a first read because policies, when they're changed, have to have 2 reads to them. So this will be the first read of these 2 sets of policies. Next month we will do the first read on a second set of policies, and then the first read on a second set of policies, and then in June the hope is that we will do a second read on these and those. So we'll be putting them all together and doing a second read in June, rather than doing first read now on these, second read in May. We're going to save that until June. hope I'm not confusing anybody too badly. So the reason is that to be able to do the thing where we wholesale pull policies out, we have to have policies to put in place for them. So, and the number of policies that we're looking at is too big to do all at once.
Does it also rearrange like the numbering systems?
Yeah.
So it's,
Updates that.
so it's going to be more in
Yes.
line with VSBA's numbering system?
Yes.
The other question I have is there a policy on how to make policy? VSBA has a policy on the process for making policy. I realize that at APE we don't have it either. So when you're talking about we have to have the first read, then we have to have a second read.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be outlined in a policy. And maybe it is now, maybe in our version of the policy it discusses how that happens. So that wouldn't necessarily be germane, but in your new policies you might want to cover that.
Right, and so we'll double check that and make sure that that is there. But some of our policies, the reason for like trying to take and move all the old ones out and put all the new ones in at the same time is not only are we changing the numbering system to go with VSBA, but there's a lot of policies that are in there that VSBA has gotten rid of, or they've combined them.
Yeah.
Or they changed the titles so that there's an old title, now there's a new title. So it's easier just to like read through everything and then.
Yeah.
So there's discussion, you'll see it when we talk about the second set of personnel ones. There's a policy in there about tobacco. And the SBA, I think, Suzanne said that they're going to be possibly do a major revision on that particular policy, but we're going to adopt the one that they have out there now. And then when VSBA comes by and says, this is a new policy, we'll just change it on an individual basis.
Right.
But in order to do this bulk lift, the idea here is to get all the major ones in place, having gone through the reading process, first read and second read, to have it ready to be able to do all together in June.
Okay.
Okay?
And the other thing is that currently it's not on Career Center heading, but we'll make sure they all look pretty at the end so
I
that.
thought they already did look.
Well, they do look pretty, but we're gonna put the
All right, we'll get
on
that.
the letterhead. You did a very nice job.
Steve, I have a question. I noticed on some of them that the VSBA version reference or date is not on some of the policies. Is that just an omission or was it, I was just curious about that. I noticed it on a few I looked at.
I mean, the table at the bottom?
Yes. Like
That's, I didn't touch the table at all. That's the way it came.
Okay, interesting.
Oh, the ones that, yeah, down here. with the
Some of them
VSBA.
don't have a VSBA date.
They don't,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
wonder
touch.
what that means then.
I'm not sure.
You basically copied this right off their website.
You basically,
Okay.
and modified it and
Okay.
reformatted parts of it, but the table at the bottom, I didn't touch it.
Okay. Well, maybe when we look at them again, we can
And
kind
I
of
can
take
ask
a
them.
look just
It could
to
be that
see.
the VSBA is behind in getting their dates on.
Well, they have to have a date when they adopted it.
Well,
So
that
the
one's a
question came up while you were
recommended
out.
policy, not required.
Steve said that
That could
we have to have
possibly
a
be part of
policy
it.
about how we
Yeah.
do policies.
That could be part of it, that's true.
And I don't remember seeing.
I don't remember seeing something like that either. I'm not sure that that's required.
Well, VSBA has a policy on how to make policy.
Yeah, it might be one of the ones for consideration.
But is
They
that defined by state statute?
Well, that's
Not
all
every- Here's how VSBA has it. They have a section that's required, you gotta have them.
Yeah.
And they have a section that's recommended,
Right.
pick and choose. And they have a section that's for consideration. If you wanna, you can, if not. And that might be in
And
there.
they're divided into different categories.
Yeah, yes.
So, yeah, I'm just saying that, when I've been on the board, we're talking about, okay, well, we need to come up with a policy, and then we need to read it first, and then we need to post it. But there's nothing that says that. There's nothing that says, here's that process.
It's in statute, isn't it?
Well, that's why I'm like, okay, are we just following statute on that, or?
I would think so.
Anything that's in statute would be a required policy. It's not, so it's probably not in statute.
Could it possibly be that this is just a Robert's rules? That this is how they say you should do it?
Because they do
Well,
say that boards have.
That was the point of, in my mind, of just adopting the VSBA's how to make a policy, because that way there's no question as to where the authority comes from or what the process is to follow.
Well, can we look at that? And
Yep.
then we'll get back to the board.
I have down here board policy on policy, how to make policy.
I would caution against policies unnecessarily.
Okay.
Absolutely,
Right.
for me, it was like, we're starting a new policy and governance committee in Mount Abe.
Yeah.
So the first step I wanted to find out was, okay, how do you make a policy? Because we're going to be making a bunch of policies. So what's the process?
So I'm not sure you
And
should
I
be
couldn't-
making policies that are outside VSBA's recommendation.
Steve, could you possibly identify that, the one that you're thinking of or the one that you're using at Mount Abe, and then pass that on to the policy committee so that we can talk it at our next meeting?
I can probably find it for you.
And I'll also reach out to VSBA about the dates and ask them why they aren't there.
They may not know.
Yeah, they may not know, but
Yeah.
hey, you know, at least we'll have an answer, we don't know.
Which is
So is that to create a brand new policy that doesn't exist anywhere? Like that's why they have that?
I think even in modifying existing policy, this process that we're talking about right now, how would you actually do that?
So the agenda was not intended, the reading for the agenda was not intended for us to go through each of these 13 policies and read them in session. So I hope everyone had a chance to read the policies. And right now, I think we're at the point of saying, do you have any questions about the 13 policies that we presented that we can address as a board? Or is there anything else that we want to discuss before we say that we've done the first read on these policies?
Anybody online? Tiffany, Dan, Judd, Bill? Kim?
So the only thing I would look for is if the word changes, you guys highlight it. I mean, that's, as we look through it.
That is how I do it.
Right.
Once we have a policy established and we're revising a policy, we redline it.
Right, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it
That's
just
good.
makes, it goes so much easier.
So much faster, exactly. Thank you.
But we're doing a
clarify-
forklift here, so there's nothing to revise.
Right. To clarify, you're not making any changes to these first reads in.
To these ones that are
To
being
the ones that
presented.
Any
exist.
changes were made prior to the policy committee meeting.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
And this is first read. That doesn't mean you have to speak now and forever hold your peace.
Sure.
Because until June or July, when we wholesale adopt
Right.
them, we can still make changes. I prefer those suggestions go through policy committee,
Right.
so we can vet them in the appropriate way.
Right, because there is a policy committee between this meeting and the next meeting. So if you do happen to go through here and find something, even if it's grammatical or, punctuation mistake or something like that, please pass it on to us and we'll make
There
those
would not be
revisions.
any grammatical or punctuation.
Better not.
Because the SBA is so good at that.
Oh, no, because Tim went through it.
Oh,
I did fix some grammar, by the way,
Oh, you
from
did?
the SBA's policy. Yeah.
So that being said, if anybody has any, ooh, really? Or I wonders, please just send them to Tim and Steve Orzik. Do not send them to the entire board.
Yes, please.
So Steve, if you go on their VSBA's model policy manual,
Mhm.
it's 830.
8:30.
It's the top of their recommended aid list.
Okay, we'll take a look at that and then talk about it in May. May, right?
May,
In the May policy committee meeting and see if that's something we want to bring forward or to try to hash that through. Okay. We have something like 18 policies.
Or more.
No, 21, I think, more to go.
Yeah, there's a lot to go.
Yeah, we're looking at 3 total chunks.
Yeah, probably.
So
Okay.
these are on the action agenda, so
Yes.
what would the action you want? Or just,
I'd like to move that we consider these having been read for the first read. These 13 policies will have been presented to the board as having passed that condition of being read for the first read. So, do
Yeah,
I
I
make a motion?
don't know that we need a motion.
no.
Oh,
No.
I mean, they're just on the action, so that's why I'm asking.
Right,
So what do
but
you-
it's
what do
it's
you
for
guys-
future action.
future, yeah.
Yes, so this is first read on these 13. Rather than have you read all 35 of the policies, we decided to chunk it up and say, this was all we could get through in the
In
first
one
policy
sitting.
sitting. So we didn't want to take the board's time to, go through 30 whatever policies we have to look at and give you an opportunity to see it a piece at a time.
Nick?
I just had one question on B22, which is complaints about personnel. Because we've had some history on this one. And it says at the bottom, it's the intent of the board that the rights of employees under collective bargaining agreements and Vermont law be protected through the administration of this policy. But Susanna, I think we had a disconnect in the past between the collective bargaining agreement and this policy. Do you recall?
I think where the issue was that people came to the board first or tried to come to the board first instead of going through the channels. Like if you have an issue with a teacher, go talk to the teacher. And if you don't resolve it there, then go the next step.
Yeah.
And it said they wanted to jump over all of that and bring it right to the board.
But that was in practice. I think what you're talking about, does this agree with the teacher's contract and the support staff contract?
Yeah.
So because I know that those both have, like, this is first step, this is second step, this is third step. And if this policy doesn't agree with those, then we have a problem because it's the intent to, under collective bargaining agreement, and which one takes precedent.
Yeah.
So I have not done that look.
Here's what I'd say about that. Grievances are about violations or alleged violations of the contract. So that's outside of a complaint against an employee. So it's two different tracks.
Oh, I see. So that's talking about a staff grievance. This is talking about a member of the public that is not.
Or it could be a staff member complaining about inappropriate behavior. Grievance procedures to address issues related to the contract, the negotiated agreement, or some people call it the master agreement.
Yeah.
That's what the grievance process is supposed to be for. Sometimes it's used differently and inappropriately, but that is to address contract disputes.
Okay.
So that would be a different animal than Johnny's harassing me.
Yes. I mean, the steps look so similar to what a grievance does that might be where the confusion was on my part. So.
Yeah. Very similar.
Yeah.
Can I ask one more question? Did you guys talk about the procedures that go along with
Yes.
some of these policies?
Yes, I brought that up.
Yes.
Procedures need to be written.
Okay. Because, okay.
Well, also B22 does say public complaints about personnel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really intended for employees to use this.
No. And I agree with that. I was just confused because it looks very similar to the
It
grievance
does look
process.
very similar.
So.
So like.
And this is one of those ones that doesn't have a VSBA yet on
Right. I will ask why the missing dates.
Yeah, I mean, that this on some of these copies, so.
Yeah. So I don't know. So are we all set on those?
I think we're satisfied.
Okay, so
as far as
again,
policy committee is.
if anybody, if you go home and your bedtime reading and you see something that you question or you're not sure of, please send it in an email to Steve and Tim. Steve Orzik, not Steve Rooney, because Steve Rooney does facilities and probably be wondering why he's getting policy comments. So
But he's doing them for Mount Abe, no?
yes, wrong word though.
We
All
could
right,
maybe
so-
have a consulting contract.
All right, so let's move on. Policy 2.3, financial condition. Who gets the lovely pleasure of that?
So this is a quarterly check-in through the policy governance that we do. We are mostly in compliance, which is a great thing. I've had some conversations with Tim about some things that I've seen as I've come on that we needed to fix or maybe weren't done, and then try to be very transparent. As you read through this, you'll see that everything is in order with one exception. I did find that we had some tax filings and for sales and use tax and withholding taxes. That the money was paid in, but the reporting wasn't done, so there were some issues with that coming to light. But at this point, we have gotten everything up to date and are moving forward on that schedule. Hopefully, we won't find any more surprises, but we just wanted to be transparent and let you know that we did run across a few things along the way.
Great, thank you. And I have a motion to...
Move to approve.
Okay, it's been moved to approve policy 2.3 financial condition. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. Is there any conversation or discussion, questions about the motion or the policy? Nothing?
Sorry, I was searching for my mute button. This financial condition thing, I feel like this is one of those monthly things that we read through, and it's, it's a root thing, and it says, no, that nothing's been put into jeopardy or whatever. So with those issues that you found, I don't want to make too much of them, but inconsistencies or whatever, if we read this financial condition pretty much every month, it seems odd that those would just crop up this month, and I know that you're pretty new here, Rebecca, so, are these things that should have been caught earlier on?
So this is a quarterly report that we do, so it'll be every quarter. So it's been done before. I think there was just because there were so many things going on and so many people trying to keep things afloat, things got lost.
Okay.
Everyone's intentions were good.
That's fair. There wasn't a transition, so that is a risk.
And as I did find the things, like I was very transparent with Tim about what we had to do and bring them forward, and feel comfortable that we're in a good place now. But it is a quarterly report as opposed to a monthly report, Judd. So that's probably why you're seeing it now and not when I first found them, although I did report them to Tim as soon as I found out.
Great. Thank you very much. That's a great answer. Thank you.
Sure.
As for the paperwork and such, do we know who was responsible for doing that, and has a procedure been put into place to make sure that that gets done on a regular basis?
I have a checklist for quarterly and monthly things. I think there was some technology stuff going on, a lot of new personnel. I wouldn't want to blame any particular person. It just happened, and we made it right in the one before. Yeah, so I feel comfortable with what we have in place, and I think Tim does too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the question was, it fell through the cracks. Let's make sure it doesn't fall through the cracks.
Exactly. Yep.
And do we have a procedure in place to make sure that doesn't?
Yep.
Okay. We have those conversations all the time.
Yeah.
Is there any penalties for missing filing? I mean,
I have had to pay, I think we paid $100 for one, and the other ones I've negotiated. So we've had a good track record, so that's really helpful when you have to talk to them about that.
Okay.
So we weren't in any huge financial jeopardy by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay, that's good.
Just want to be in compliance and to get things done on time.
Right. I mean, at least we paid the money. Right.
The money had been paid in,
Right.
except for the sales and use tax, but we were able to take care of that quickly. But the bi-weekly payroll deposits are made. It's just a matter of putting a bow on them at the end of the quarter.
Yeah. Great. Any further discussion on the motion?
So Tim's not going to get locked up.
I'm trying to keep him out of jail. It's his license on the line.
If I was dishonest, we wouldn't have told you about it at all.
Exactly.
I heard about it.
Wow, Nick. If there's no further questions or discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to approve policy 2.3 financial condition, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion's passed. We're moving into the informational agenda, Code of Ethics. I hope everyone printed it, signed it, and turned it into Patrice. She's saying no.
I'll get to it.
I will. This is Dan, I will.
The people
Okay.
online probably didn't even have a chance.
I need to still.
Okay. I thank you all for being very honest. It is something that we need to do every year. It just as a reminder of our roles and responsibilities as being board members and what we're supposed to do and not do. So thank you for doing it, taking care of it, getting it done. On to reports of the board. There's some great information there. Anybody have any questions about any of the reports? I think Tim's could fill pages, books, if we were to print out all of those reports to the board over the year.
Yeah, the stuff you get every week, that's literally 270 pages so far.
Yeah.
They've been fantastic.
They've been great.
They really have.
They have been.
Very well received at Mount Abe when they started doing it too.
You're sharing them with Nicole, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So it sounds like in the, on the business manager report that there's still some design stuff going on with the classrooms in terms of layouts.
So as far as layouts, it's we're really just talking with the teachers because the ceilings are all going to be apart. Where do we want to put electrical drops and things like that? It's not a cost of anything. It's just more like we want to be collaborative, and now's the time to do it. So we're taking the time to meet with them, talk about their needs, listening to them, knowing that we can't fulfill all of their wants and wishes, but they are taking it they're receiving us very well, and they're appreciative of the time that we're doing that. Our biggest concern is to bring everything into compliance and be safe. We have run across a few things that definitely need to be taken care of, and we're working on those. But the teachers are getting the opportunity to give some input at no cost, for things that don't cost anything.
I'm just a little surprised that's kind of a task that you would think might have happened earlier. So I'm glad that it's happening now, that it wasn't missed.
These particular classrooms that we're talking about weren't touched yet, so now's the opportunity to do that. I'm not sure how the project started, but from the projects I've done in the past, it's always been something I've tried to do just to build good rapport and make sure we're not missing anything. Because we found things like the architect missed a whole sink in one room, so by taking the time to go to each of these individual rooms, having these conversations, we're really trying to make sure, does the eye wash station need to be there? Is that sink operational? And really being thoughtful about having this opportunity to bring things up to where we need them.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that some of that legwork hadn't been done earlier.
Well, Steve, it did happen for this whole section that got done last summer.
Okay.
We did it because this is the work they were doing last summer, and Rebecca's doing what they're going to be doing this summer and leading that. So maybe that's...
No, it may be just
the whole
that
thing
they
was-
didn't have the time to get down to the granular level until right at this stage of the project.
It's been a different project, though, in terms of, so anyway.
I'm just sort of speaking from my old experience doing this kind of work. I would have normally sat down with the teachers and the students and worked through all of that in a programming phase at the very beginning of the project. Not, we're gonna crack open the classroom next month. We gotta figure out how many lights we want, where the electrical switches want to go.
Yeah, the architect's done a lot of that work, and we're just trying to enhance it as much as we
Just
can.
trying to verify.
It's more about
it's
verifying if this is the right way, and like you said, there was a sink that was missed. Mistakes happen.
No.
And so, but if there's, if there's a sink slated for over there, but for instructional purposes, then in hindsight, it'd be better over there. This is the opportune time to make that change. So.
It's been a great experience for me to get to know the building and spend time with the instructors. So I
think
find it very valuable.
it's awesome.
Great.
Dove into that. So.
Anybody else? Steve?
We're talking about the minutes, right?
We're talking about any of the reports to the board.
Right. So both budget and policy have met since the March, and I don't see minutes in here from either of those committees. There's a budget and policy committee meeting. That was the one where we were together, and then we split apart and decided about the new structure.
Yeah, you're right.
And there should be
That should have been in there.
There should be minutes in there now from the budget committee from, I don't remember the date, it was April.
Yeah.
April 6th.
It's a week ago.
13th.
Yeah, well, budget
Yeah, budget committee, and then policy and that.
Yeah, that's my mistake for not having it on there.
Okay.
We have the
Mine
minutes,
is
so we can
released on
certainly.
Monday.
Right, I was looking at the minutes and going, well, yeah, that's the other one, but I think we're missing.
Yeah, and next month it'll be a separate budget
Right.
and a separate policy.
Right, so we'll have them in there, but there is a set of minutes out there
Yes.
for those two
Yeah,
committees.
and they've been turned, well,
Yeah.
at least policy has been turned in.
We have our budget as well. We have them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a formatting problem on my part.
Okay.
Okay, you lost the moving stuff. Any other questions, comments? No? Okay. So we're down to our last section of public comment, and this public comment is for anything else or other things that were not on the agenda. Kim?
Yes. I'm one of the proud owners of the sheds that were
Oh.
built. And it was delivered by Midstate, and he was, oh my God, he was so good. But I'm like, geez.
It is one of my former students.
Yeah, great guy.
Delivered it.
But anyway, it's a fantastic building. My husband hasn't got a chance to peruse it just yet, but easy process. I think they're happy to have a little space in there. I think there's a second one going out, but I think there's a third one still available.
We have one left, yeah.
So that's something that maybe on the website it can go out or whatever, but
It's a good deal.
yeah, very good deal. And when I mention it to people, they go, how much?
Give them Matrice's number.
Yes, exactly, for in but locally. That's the other piece that's really nice about it. But in my neighborhood, it's like, where'd you get that? You know? Anyway, because we're at the beginning of the road, so we have to look good. Anyway,
We should put a banner on your shed.
Yeah.
there you go.
build by.
Yeah.
Exactly. Not a bad idea.
And Nick would like more space in his classroom, so.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
So exactly, it's more elbow room, so.
Anyway, and I had a local person put in the stone base that it's put on too, and it was kind of a new thing for him too. So we all got to practice. But very nice, thank you.
Any other public comment?
Is there any public in the?
Is there
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Just let it know. So since there is no public, and then Kim's comment, may I have someone step to the plate to do policy 4.1, governing style?
No, I'll do it.
Okay, Jack.
See, at 6:30, I think that was a pretty dialed-in meeting. I think there was a tremendous amount of information shared. I think the presentations that we heard in the beginning, which now seem like hours ago, even though they weren't, were really, really good presentation. It was a little bit hard to hear from our Zoom end, but it was really cool to hear the enthusiasm that came through strong. So that feels really good. Yeah, and the rest of it, I feel like we had a good rapport, and there was a lot of question and answers, so thank you, everyone.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Steve?
Unfortunately, that reminded me of something I wanted to bring up earlier, which was, what's the board's ability to help support these trips?
Fundraising for the trips.
No, but I mean, not fundraising, like allocate out of the budget. Just
I'd be
throwing
happy
it
to talk
out.
with you offline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Throwing it out there as like.
We are having those conversations. But FFA, a group like FFA, has a well-oiled machine for creating revenue sources. So we don't feel it's appropriate to just wholesale provide funds to organizations that don't have that mechanism. However, we also realize they may need seed money right now
Yeah.
to get started. So we are having those conversations. And we're trying to figure out a really good way to go. Because we don't want to disadvantage FFA.
Yeah, right. People who are doing the work already.
Yeah. We're trying to make it as equitable and fair as we can.
Sure. Okay.
But we do expect we're going to have to supply some funding. I don't really want to say any more than that.
That's fine. Just want to touch base on it.
Yeah. No, it's a fantastic question. But that's kind of 10,000-foot view.
Yep. Great.
But if they have flyers or anything, we can all post it on our Facebook pages, our front porch forums. There's nothing to say that board members they want to donate, can't write a check if they would like to help.
And we can find a way to make it tax deductible if you itemize. If that's something you do with your taxes. But yeah.
I mean, if you want to put a blurb together, there was a list of people that did front porch forum posts.
Right.
For the crucian that covered all the 15, 17.
Yeah, we have somebody for every town except Moncton that we can, that's posting a front porch forum for us. So, yeah.
But it should probably be consistent. It should say the same thing.
Should-
whatever.
yeah. Very good.
You need a Moncton volunteer, Jay?
The front porch
You need a
forum
Moncton
doesn't
volunteer?
consider us
Love to have a
even
Moncton
representative.
volunteer.
All
I might
the district.
Poke somebody
They
over.
won't let us have a They won't even let us have a town in Salisbury and on the Middlebury board. So they're a little
So,
particular.
is there anything else to come before the board? No, I see heads shaking no. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Assuming there is
No.
executive session.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. All in favor of adjourning? Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are adjourned at 6:35. Thank you all so very much.